Welcome back to Illini Drive. Last episode before spring break, Isaac Trotter joined alongside Jake Hasan. Nathan DeHaan is in studio. Tati Perry manning the desk for us. Tati, how you doing?
Is it manning the board if I'm a woman?
I don't know.
Womaning
What is, I don't know the vernacular on that.
That's an interesting
Good
one.
use of vernacular right there.
Yeah, seriously.
Love that.
So, Tati.
My last big word for next week.
All right, Tati, any big plans for spring break?
No, I drew up a whole itinerary of what me and my dad are going to do, and he said, okay. I feel like he's pumped.
Awesome.
For me to annoy the heck out of him for a week.
Awesome. We can all enjoy a week off. We are going to get into a lot of Illinois basketball today. Illinois and Northwestern last night, 74-69. The Illini take care of Northwestern in overtime. Kind of an ugly game for most of it. And then Illinois finds a way to scrap and claw out a win after blowing a game-winning layup right at the end of regulation. They advance. They will play Iowa tonight in the second round of the Big Ten tournament. That'll be starting probably around 8:35, 8:30. Just depends on the first game between Penn State and Minnesota. We'll break down the rest of the Big Ten action. We'll break down Iowa, what our expectations are for tonight. And plus, the NFL has been absolutely crazy. Good thing we have Nathan DeHaan in studio. He is our resident Packers fan. We, Jake Hasan and I, are both Bears fans. And the Bears and the Packers kind of went through a little bit of a safety swap, so we'll break that down. The big-time debate, Adrian Amos versus HaHa Clinton Dix. That'll probably
face right now.
We'll get to it.
We'll definitely get into it. But first, Illinois basketball. 74-60.
We're just not going to talk about the crossover episode that's happening right now.
Yeah,
We're just not going to talk about how this is the first time it's been 50-50 split.
Groundbreaking.
I mean, I guess we can get into that. I guess I was more thinking that Illinois basketball is a little bit more important, seeing that we only have an hour here.
It's like when Hannah Montana and the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and
Legendary.
And that's
So
so
Raven.
That's the sweet
Legendary.
life of Hannah Montana.
That is us right now.
Just
That
absolutely.
was an amazing.
I'm very impressed with that.
Talking about
that
legendary.
was very well done.
Well, do you realize that Disney did that in one episode? What took Marvel years to do?
Whoa. Okay, this is what we're not going to do,
Jake.
all right.
on this day.
right.
On this day, we are
Here's
not.
the thing.
Jake's mad that you're in charge and we can't
Yeah.
talk about Marvel for 20 minutes
Here's
like
the
we do
thing.
on Monday, Wednesday.
Oh yeah, because
Okay,
you
but-
don't like that.
No. I like
Yes,
that.
Tati.
I think we have to let our listeners understand the Monday, Wednesday show and the Tuesday, Thursday show are
I
extremely
think they-
different
I
creatures.
don't think we need to make them understand that. I think they get that.
Well, I think eventually people have just picked one. I think they're just like, oh, like Isaac and Tati and Eli are on today.
they've pledged
I'll learn
allegiance.
about Illini sports. And then it's like, oh, like a Game of Thrones trailer came out. Good thing Nathan, Tommy, and Jake are in studio.
It's like they pledged allegiance to a house.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Tati, you had something.
I wanted to know your opinions on the new trailer, but like I don't want to upset
Tony
Isaac.
Stark is alive.
No. We can definitely get into that. Very well done. I was very impressed with it. Jake was angry at me this morning because I did not text him about it.
Nobody did. I woke up and I had to find it on Twitter, like a commenter. I counted my friends to text me when these things happen because I notoriously wake up late after everybody
Okay,
else.
so Jake, the 2 minutes and 20-second trailer, what did you gain from it? What do you know is going to happen from the 2 minutes, and the little tease that they gave you?
I mean, the biggest one is that Tony's alive,
Yes.
which is the most important because we all thought he was going to die. That's the biggest thing,
Still
obviously.
a possibility.
You take
That is.
Tati, please.
There are 4 hours. You don't know what can happen.
I know it's going to be amazing. The Thor and Captain Marvel partnership duo, the friendship there is going to be awesome. I
Yes.
can't wait for that. It's still so funny how important Ant-Man's going to be in this entire movie, just because he's usually comic relief, and it's just very clear he's going to have a huge role. What else? Heartbreaking. Just makes my heart ache when they went through like the first movie scenes from Iron Man and Captain America and Thor.
Hold the tears back, and I'll get you
the
a
black
Kleenex.
and white thing with the red highlighted really freaks me out because I feel like they're trying to tell us something and I'm just missing it completely.
Right.
Red.
Yeah.
Important color.
Thank you, Nathan, for that. I'm excited though. It's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited. I'm gonna sit through all 4 hours of that movie. It's gonna be.
Multiple times.
I'm setting the over under at 3.5. The amount of times that Jake's goes to the movie theater alone to watch this movie.
I want to go alone, but you're making me not the first time.
Do you prefer going to movies alone?
Absolutely.
Yes,
but I make him go with me.
Yes.
I've only done it once, and it was a drive-in theater, and it was kind of just sad, though.
You
That's
drove
sad.
by
The
yourself.
drive-in is sad.
What was the movie though?
I think it was like I don't even remember. I can't remember which movie it was, but because I think I left. I think I was like, this is sad. I'm sitting in my car alone.
Yeah, that's a little.
I
odd.
will publicly admit that I went to Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again alone this summer, and it was fantastic. It was the best time I've ever had in the movie theater.
What makes going alone better?
Because, for
unbothered.
Infinity War,
You're unbothered, right?
right? So like Infinity War, especially when I went by myself for that was like you don't have to explain anything. Like nobody's like leaning over to you, be like, wait, what's going on? Like I don't know. It's just so much easier. You don't have to worry about anyone else. Like it's just
cool.
You just focus singularly on what's in front of you.
So are we good? Have we gotten all of our Avengers takes out, or should we talk sports now, or what?
I
What are you
told Game of
thinking?
Thrones. I added them and told them to release a trailer. In response, they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cowards.
Tough time. Illinois 74, Northwestern 69. Georgie Bashanishvili breaks out for 26 points last night. Are we surprised anymore? I'm not. Feels
By
like
Georgie?
There feels like there's no words that can describe how good Georgie has really been. And his start last night was unbelievable. 14 points in a row. Also, really good to get Trent Frazier going. But Jake, you see that game last night, and you see the way that Northwestern played in the second half. Illinois is kind of gives up multiple threes. Northwestern starts putting it together. That was a game that I felt like 2 weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, Illinois loses. They find a way to get it done, survive, and advance. And it felt like a pretty big win because if you head into this offseason with a loss to a really bad Northwestern team, the conversations that we're having today are, is Brad Underwood still the guy for the job? Is Tevian Jones going to transfer? What the heck is Tyler Underwood playing 7 minutes a game? Those are the conversations we're having. Right. Now we can address those. We might still have those conversations if they lose tonight, but still they're able to fend off Northwestern and get a much-needed win.
Georgie, especially, I think, is the big part of this. You said, are we surprised anymore? I was a little surprised because he has not played well in the last 3 or 4 weeks. You know, we've been missing that Georgie that scored 35 points. We've been missing the guy that's been playing bigger than he really is and has been, the cornerstone of this offense. Yeah, it's awesome to see Trent Frazier back, too. He's 3 for 5 from behind
absolutely.
the arc. That's huge. He had 21 points in a season that he's been non-existent for long periods. I mean, we call him the big three, but really, for most of the season, it's been the big two.
I mean, you can make a strong case that Andres Feliz has been better than Trent Frazier, too, towards the end of the Big Ten play. I mean, over the last 12 or 13 games, Andres Feliz was great. Feliz last night blows the wide-open layup. Nathan, when you watched
Wasn't that wide open?
It was that's a pretty stinking good look you're going to get with a second left in the game.
I was surprised they went to Feliz.
Yes.
Because I was also surprised that they went to him like back to back. Like the original play that was drawn up too, I thought
ISO for him.
It was an ISO for him, but I thought what they were going to do was drive and make everyone collapse and then dish and try for like a game-winning three, which it felt like they were going to do when Jordan came up, didn't end up setting that screen, and then I thought that either Trent or Jordan were going to be there on the outside available for that pitch.
Even Io was open in the corner.
And so I really felt that that Brad was going to capitalize on Brad as if we're on a first name basis.
My very good friend Brad Underwood,
my dear friend,
who makes odd decisions.
But I don't know. I felt like he knew that Northwestern was going to collapse because they know it is a game winner, and then if you go inside, you can dish it out, and then at the end, the right under the basket. I mean, like, why not do Georgie for that? He's by height and by nature closer to the rim and should be easier to make a shot underneath the basket. So
that had Trent Frazier chucked up three written all over it, and that's what I was terrified was going to happen. So I'm really glad they drew up that kind of look. And Feliz has been really good inside, so I don't hate that decision.
Well, it was one of those situations where Illinois was playing. They knew that they were going to switch that situation, and they fed off of that. And it was really, I thought, a pretty good play call. With 1.2 seconds left to get a shot at the rim like that, that's a good look. Now he misses it. They go into overtime. Northwestern starts off hot and gets out to a little bit of a lead. And Illinois continue to fight back. Trent Frazier with a huge three. Ayo Dosunmu with a huge three. And then Andres Feliz, after all of these issues, bullies his way in for a big three-point play. Yep. Feliz finished with 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 dimes, just 1 turnover. Huge minutes for him. He was the third guy. And Georgie kind of took over. Trent kind of played that number 2 while I was off. But Andres Feliz, I felt, even though he missed that layup at the end of regulation, he was a huge key for why Illinois was able to scrape that one out.
Do you guys think that Io sort of tries to be the man in the United Center to the point that it hurts his game? Because I mean, 3 for 10 last night. There were parts of the game that you sort of saw him selfishly being like, I want to.
He made weird decisions
at the end, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
at the end, especially, he wanted to be the guy. You could tell he wanted to be the one that said, "All right, I'm sealing this. here we go. I'm going to drive in. I'm going to make the basket and get the foul. And then everybody's going to be cheering. I'm going to get the fans going, and it's going to be because of me. And you're right. He made weird decisions. He tried to do it himself.
And that's why I think Underwood eventually, not limited his minutes, but the reason Frazier saw so much of the court, not only because of how well he was playing, and Trent, he's been to the Big Ten tournament before. He's played in it before. He was making better decisions all throughout the game. I think Underwood sat there on the sideline. I was like, listen, you're doing too much, because he did the same thing against Ohio State when they played in the United States.
And despite all that, Io still knocks down the big three when Illinois absolutely needed it. And that's the thing that I really appreciate a little bit about Io, and even what he's kind of added to Trent. Trent started that game yesterday with 2 fast break opportunities. He missed 2 layups, right? And after the drought that he's gone on, and after the, just one made field goal last time out against Penn State, he didn't let that get him down. Io didn't let his 3 for 9 start or 3 for 10, or he finished 3 for 10, but 2 for 9 start get him down. He was still able to clutch, step up, and hit that 3. Trent wasn't scared of the moment. Wasn't a situation where he's going to be passive again and just look for Georgie now. He took over knowing that Georgie needed help. That type of buy-in and that type of resiliency is something that Georgie and Io have really given to some of the rest of the guys, and that's pretty impressive for 2 true freshmen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive. It's to have that confidence, like you said. Io hasn't had like a good game since Ohio State, maybe. Probably. I mean, he hasn't had like a true Io game. Like, he might have scored 20 points, but he missed 2/3 of his shots still. I mean, he hasn't had a true game where you saw him.
He was good against Indiana at times. The final line looks a lot better than what it was.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, a game that he went from beginning to end, he was the guy you had confidence in, and every time he shot. Was probably Ohio State.
Penn State, he had 18 points against them, but again, a lot of those were late.
Right.
Purdue shut him down for 9.
So you're looking at a month ago.
Right. You're right.
Like a month to the day.
And why is that happening? Because Big Ten is loaded with really good coaches, and there's really good defenders, and they've realized that you take Io's right hand away and you force him into those tough mid-range jumpers. This is what happens to freshmen. This isn't unusual. This isn't just Io being very different and being a bust or whatever by any means. He's still one of the top freshmen in the Big Ten. I think he's still kind of fighting his way through and learning the different ways that defenses are approaching him. But you kind of look forward at this tonight. Iowa doesn't have a guy that matches up with him well. No. Jordan Bohannon is not a defender. Isaiah Moss is not a defender. Joe Wieskamp is a decent defender, but I don't think he's going to want to stick on Io, and he surely doesn't guard the other team's primary ball handler. I think Io could have a really good game against Iowa tonight. I hate the matchup outside of this because Tyler Cook and Luka Garza just do things that Illinois doesn't like, but I think Illinois is going to have a lot of confidence going into tonight after fighting off Northwestern. I expect them to throw the first punch. I expect them to get out to a hot start. What do you expect for tonight?
I would hope so. I think that because I like the overtime. The Illinois sort of like limped into that end of regulation, and all of a sudden Northwestern takes its first lead sort of late, and then it's back and forth, and then you go to overtime and you looked like the better team, and you played like the better team, and it just looked like, okay, Illinois is going to win this game. They're taking care of business now, and that gives me promise, and that's something that I don't know if this Illinois team would have done in some of those games in the past month, because it didn't look like they had that fire. So I'm on board with you. I think that they come out tonight very hot, thinking along the same lines of why not us?
Did that overtime kind of feel like a slump busting moment?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Am I stupid to think that? Because it felt like, okay, that's the team I saw during the 4-game winning streak. Right. That's the team that I saw decimate Michigan State a little bit. Not the first 40 minutes of that game where a Northwestern team without their best player, without their leading scorer, kind of punked you a little bit in Chicago. The overtime felt like a little bit like a breakthrough where Illinois I'm starting to see, what did Underwood say in the postgame press conference? It just takes a little ripple to start a tidal wave. That was the little ripple. You kind of start to see that, and just in that overtime segment alone.
They have to build on it now, though. And I mean, you're right. This is a game that Illinois would have lost 2 weeks ago. I mean, it had classic Illinois collapse written all over it. I mean, it looked like they were about to let it slip away when they had a chance to really step on their opponent's throat and take something and make something happen, and they were about to let it slip away. You're right. This smelled like and looked like the Illinois team when they were on their 4-game winning streak when it came to overtime. And they said, all right, here's our moment. It's overtime. Let's take it. And then they did. And that's something that we hadn't seen in over a month.
I wanted to touch on the substitution patterns I thought were really odd last night. Tyler Underwood finished with 6 minutes played. He had 2 rebounds, had a couple turnovers, missed a shot. But his playing time really wasn't the thing that bothered me because I thought he did do some fine things. He had a couple good defensive segments. He drew a charge. He was matched up against a 6'8" kid on the post on the block and was able to force a kick out.
Pretty sure he intercepted a pass.
Yeah, too. So he was fine. I have more of an issue with Adonis De La Rosa getting 8 minutes. I have more of an issue with Demonte Williams getting 20 minutes and back-to-back games now hasn't scored. Mm-hmm. Those two guys, the minutes have to go down there if you want to compete. I think Tevian Jones continues to show that he needs more minutes because Illinois doesn't have a scorer like him on the floor.
And he gets 2 last night. He only gets 2 last night, and that's what bothers.
And 0 against Penn State.
Yeah,
two. Like when you look at, is that concerning to you?
Yes.
How concerning?
I mean, very, because this was a guy who, after Maryland, he was getting 18 to 20 minutes a game, and he was playing well, and then seemingly for no reason, he got yanked from the rotation for no reason, and now we're seeing it with Alan Griffin, too. Griffin got a little run there where he was getting 12, 15 minutes a night, and now he's back to single digits, too.
It feels like Brad doesn't trust them.
Yeah, right. I would agree with that.
And it feels like Kipper Nichols has been practicing well, quote unquote, whatever that means. And Kipper Nichols, I think, will have a big impact tonight. Again, you're playing Iowa. Kipper Nichols is a much better matchup against Tyler Cook than Tevian Jones ever will be, right? If we're expecting Tevian Jones to go out there and shut down a guy like Tyler Cook who averages 15 and 9, then you're out of your mind. Yeah. And that's just kind of the fact of the matter.
That was uncomfortably close to a rhyme.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was, right?
Yeah,
that wasn't just me.
But it's nice. Well done.
I didn't do it on purpose. I really didn't. I just think that tonight's type of game, Tevian Jones, this might not be a Tevian Jones game, but I don't want to see Adonis De La Rosa on the floor for 8 to 12 minutes a game.
I don't want to see Tyler Underwood at all.
I don't want to see Demonte Williams on the floor for 12 to 15 minutes tonight because what he's giving you now isn't good enough. You just can't have your starting wing give you 20 minutes and 5 rebounds. Yeah, 3 assists were nice, but he misses his 2 threes, and they were great looks. He's not taking it strong to the basket. Every time he takes it to the rim, he's always looking to pass out. You just can't have that on the floor.
So and I've been a huge, Nathan will tell you, I've been a huge Demonte Williams defender on this show just because I think he does the intangible things well. Who is your pick to start over him then?
No, he's starting. I don't think you messed that up.
So you think you still give Feliz those 25, 30 minutes?
Absolutely. Okay. Feliz needs 32 to 35. Okay.
Then I'm fine with that logic of Demonte only getting like 15 or like 12, even like cutting back those minutes. Because I think with the starting unit, he allows you to get into rhythm with your defense and with your help defense especially and your passing. I'm fine with Feliz still getting those extra minutes down the stretch, though, too.
You kind of look at the minutes, breakdown last night. Andres Feliz had 26 minutes. Ayodesumu has 32. Trent Frazier had 41 out of your 45. Yeah. I don't like the fact that Andres Feliz was off the floor for 19 minutes of the game last night.
He needs to get 30-plus in that situation.
Exactly. And so tonight, in a game where this is it for you, most likely, and you got to win or go home for the most part, you need to ride with your hot hands. And I felt like the substitution patterns yesterday were a little odd to me, where he's given some guys a lot of a run, and then he wasn't going with his 3-headed monster of Ayo, Andres, and Trent for very often. Oh, and then when they did, guess what happens?
Yeah.
You win in overtime.
Go ahead.
No, yeah. It just bothered me a little bit because those are odd. Those are odd moments where I go, your best 5 aren't on the floor. You had one lineup, we had Tyler Underwood, Kipper Nichols, Alan Griffin, and Adonis De La Rosa on the floor. Those are 4 guys who don't score at all. Exactly. None. And you just can't have that tonight against an Iowa team that's really good.
Odd is a good way of putting it, in that it was just odd that was the time that Underwood felt to sort of experiment. It almost,
right.
I mean, you're in the first round of the Big Ten tournament.
This is game 32.
You should just be at this point just saying, okay, I'm going to play who's going to give me the best opportunity, the chance to win. And you can't convince me that De La Rosa, Kipper, Alan Griffin, Tyler Underwood on the court at the same time is that. You can't. And you can't convince me that Underwood deserves more minutes than Tevian Jones, and that De La Rosa should be out there when he
4 times as much as Tevian.
It just didn't make sense, and I'm happy that it worked out because like you said, we're not having these conversations, and we're not having to sit there and say like, does Underwood know what he's doing? Because overtime, like you said, it was sort of that ripple to make a tidal wave, hopefully, for the rest of the Big Ten tournament, because that team was a reminiscent of the 4-game winning streak, like we alluded to earlier, and that team is what you need to be if you want to continue to compete in this Big Ten tournament.
We're going to take our first time out. When we get back, let's break down Iowa a little bit more in detail. You're listening to Illini Drive, WPGU 107.1. Welcome back to Illini Drive. Isaac Trotter joined alongside Nathan DeHaan, Jake Hasan, and Tati Perry behind the desk. Tati, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Okay, awesome. Tati, if you didn't know, Tati changed her hair again. It's back to purple. It's pretty. It's pretty
never
wild.
been purple before. It's not back to purple.
No, it was definitely purple before.
Like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Was like a burgundy. It was more of a red. It's never been purple.
I have PTSD from the red.
So how long does this stay? How long does this stay? Are you going 3 or 4 days or what?
It's definitely not gonna last. Like
Okay.
it's gonna be completely different by the end of spring break.
Okay, so the next time I see you,
it's been a week already.
It's been 2. It's
Wow.
been a busy 2 weeks, which is why it's not changed.
Okay. Awesome. Illinois basketball plays tonight against Iowa. We broke down the Illinois win over Northwestern for most of that first segment. In this second segment, we're going to break down the Hawkeyes a little bit. The Hawkeyes destroyed Illinois 95-71 back in January 20th. They made 15 threes that day, probably the best three-point shooting performance of the season for them. Jordan Bohannon was great. Isaiah Moss had a career day against Illinois. Joe Wieskamp was the BTN all-freshman team over Georgi Bashanishvili. He also had a really good day against Illinois that last time. But that Iowa team then and the Iowa team now are completely different teams. And it feels like every single year we talk about how a Fran McCaffrey coached team really stumbles towards the end of February and into March, and this time is no different. They've lost 6 out of their last 7 games entering tonight. I think Illinois has a chance here. I don't love the matchup because Tyler Cook is an absolute monster, and we've seen Illinois struggles with power forwards all year long, or, those small forwards, those combo fours, kind of like Lamar Stevens has killed Illinois multiple times. James Palmer Jr. has given Illinois fits. That's not a great matchup for the Aaron Jordans, for the Kipper Nichols. But outside of that, I think Illinois can really compete if their guards take advantage because Isaiah Moss isn't a good defender. Jordan Bohannon's not a good defender. So Trent Frazier, Ayo Dosunmu, and Andres Felice should have opportunities to shine tonight.
What makes me nervous about this game is how many threes Northwestern was able to put up against this defense last night, and knowing what Iowa did to Illinois earlier in the season with that three-point shot. I made the sort of redundant point on the show yesterday about how sometimes the threes fall and sometimes they don't. So
Right.
So if
Northwestern was 8 for 36 last night.
Northwestern had a bad night, which makes me feel like Iowa is due for a good night, which makes me feel like this game is going to go very similar to the game earlier this year. Or, Iowa, got their luck in that first game, and maybe they at least come back down to earth in this game and let Illinois hang in there, and maybe Trent gets hot.
The thing that gives me at least a sliver of hope for this game is the 4-game losing streak that I was coming in on, but not just that fact alone, but who they've lost to and in the manner in which they've lost.
Yeah.
Ohio State by 20, Rutgers by 14, Wisconsin by 20, Nebraska by 2.
They imploded against Nebraska, too. They're up by 16 with 3 minutes left.
3 of those teams, Illinois is beaten. Wisconsin, Illinois arguably should have beaten twice.
Yes.
So the fact that Iowa lost to that team by 20, and the fact that they lost to Rutgers by 14 and Ohio State by 20, that says a lot to me that Iowa is just not the same team they were in January. They're not in the same headspace. Of course, 3 days off allows you the opportunity to fix a lot of things and kind of clear your head and get a lot of things straight. But, Iowa...
This clearly is not the same Iowa team.
And Iowa is, even if they're walking into this game we set history against Illinois last time. Look what we did to them last time. That's kind of a trap mentality almost. And because we've seen what happens when teams underestimate this Illinois team.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the thing, too, though, is we talk about how good Tyler Cook is, and his line is great, 15 points and 8 rebounds, but in his last 2 games, he only has 9 points. Mm-hmm. And he had 0 against Wisconsin and only 9 against a Nebraska team that has, 6 scholarship players right now? So that's something to watch. He has not been playing basketball at a high level. We had David Eichhoff on the show this morning, on the Jeremy Warner show this morning. He had talked about how...
Nice plug.
Thank you. He was talking about how Tyler. You completely took my hair out of it. I completely hate. I hate when you do this. Tyler Cook, by the way, he was saying how he has kind of settled for those mid-range jumpers and not really getting to the rim anymore. Well, we saw with Khalil Iverson from Wisconsin, he has career days against Illinois because that type of talent, 6'9", 225, 230-pound freaks, give Illinois so much trouble. I could see him. Are you good over there?
Hairball?
Why does he have to be a freak? Because he's a little large,
I'm our 6'9", 240-pound dude is an absolute monster. I think those dudes.
That's a freak of nature.
That is
He's
a
not
freak.
a freak.
He's a freak of nature.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, Isaac, that did come off a little mean the way you were saying it. I will.
It was just a compliment. I think Tyler Cook's one of the best underrated players in the Big Ten. He's fantastic for them. He might be their MVP. As much as we talk about Jordan Bohannon and his late game shooting, people forget that Jordan Bohannon only shoots 36% from the field. So first 38 minutes of the game do matter as well, not just the final 2 minutes where he just knocks down ridiculously long threes.
I also love, March tournament time. We've seen it in a few earlier games already today.
Yes.
That teams that play on that first day sometimes have the upper hand of being, fresh off a basketball game. Sort of, who was it that came out so slow today?
Nebraska and Maryland?
Well, yeah, that game was just a stinker. It was just a dud. It was just a low-scoring, hard-to-watch game. But, Texas Tech right now, came out slow against West Virginia. Maybe this Iowa team comes out a little lethargic, comes out a little slow, and Illinois, who's feeling good after just winning an overtime game, for getting back in the W column, comes out hot, feels good, kicks Iowa in the mouth, and then, you start to see how the game can progress.
You're right about that. Texas Tech, 7th in the country right now. They're losing 28-11 to West Virginia, who won 4 games this year in conference. Another one that started out slow was Maryland. They started out slow and finished slow. They had nothing going all day long. 69-61. Nebraska upsets Maryland to move on. By the way, Tim Miles is making a strong case to keep his job. As long as he could not fall or trip and fall on his face when he's running off the court afterward, he'll be
nailed
fine.
it today, so
he was fine. Nevada also, like you said, Nathan. Nevada had a really slow start. Boise State got off to a 22-9 lead before Nevada came storming back to win that game. But yeah, I think tonight it really all starts at the beginning. Illinois has to get off to a good start. I think that's pretty much a big key. Another one to watch out for is the Luka Garza Georgi Bashanishvili matchup. Garza has played really well against Illinois in his career. He dropped 20 on Illinois earlier this year, and Georgie did not have a good game up in Iowa City. I'm interested to see how Georgie plays against him tonight. Is he able to dominate him? Because let's remember, Derek Pardon's one of the best defenders in the Big Ten, and Georgie destroyed him last night. Will Iowa bring the double? Jake, if you're Iowa, would you double team Georgie right away from the tip or what?
I don't think you can. I think if you double, that just opens you up for Trent Frazier threes or Ayo Dosunmu to come in and beat you down.
Counterpoint. They double him so that DeMonte Williams and Aaron Jordan can beat you. That's kind of what I would think.
The only one that worries me about that is DeMonte. I think Aaron Jordan can beat you. If you let him shoot, if you let Aaron Jordan shoot enough times, he's going to start draining them at some point.
And I hope that if they start doubling, Underwood sees that as an opportunity to have his three-point shooters fly, and he sends somebody out there for DeMonte that can score.
Like Alan Griffin.
Like Alan Griffin, exactly.
Or even Felice.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. That's where I'm interested to see what Iowa does, because we all know Iowa is atrocious defensively. They really don't like to guard. They can score, and I think they're going to get theirs tonight. But if Illinois is able to take advantage offensively and dominate on the perimeter, I think they could have a really good chance. I also really would like to see if Georgie can pull Luka Garza away from the rim a little bit. Garza's not a great shot blocker, but he's adequate at 6'9", 6'10". Tyler Cook's not known as a great shot blocker, but he's still a rim protector as much as you'll see. If they can get those guys away from the basket, and then Andres Feliz and Ayo Dosunmu can get to the rack, Illinois could be in good shape to keep this one close.
I think let me throw this out there. Illinois is currently underdogs by 4.5 points.
Yes.
I think that line goes either one of two ways. Either Illinois loses this game by double digits, or if it's that close, they're probably winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you think it's either a win or a blowout loss?
I mean, it's 10 points a blowout.
Well, yeah, I mean...
I think it's either going to be a pretty lopsided loss, a pretty convincing win for Iowa, or Illinois wins this game. If Illinois is within 4 points, they're probably pulling this one out.
Let's go around the room. Let's give an X factor for tonight. If Illinois wants to beat Iowa, Nathan, who's your X factor tonight that has to really play at a high level?
I think it's Aaron Jordan. I think a senior leadership is something that I value a lot on teams, and him being pretty much the only. I mean, you can count the Drew Caseys and the Adonis De La Rosas, but in terms of seeing the floor and being there for so long and developing a culture, I want to see Aaron Jordan. Because he does a lot of good things off the basketball too. He's great great movement, good passer,
good rebounder,
and he fights for rebounds too. I love the fact that he is never one of those people that relies on his own skill and his own game. He's one of those, always fighting. How many times have you watched, certain players just not box out and just not put in that effort, and it drives you crazy? Aaron Jordan's not one of those guys. So I think, like you said, if Iowa starts to pull away from things a little bit, I'd love to see Aaron Jordan, sort of calm everybody down. And I think and that's why I'm going to call it an X factor, because the Georgies and the Trents and the Ios, if they play well, Illinois plays well. But if Aaron Jordan, like you said, if they double and they can kick it out to Aaron Jordan, he starts hitting some threes, starts getting hot, and everything that he does off the ball too, I think that he is my X.
Jake, who's yours?
It's got to be Io.
You stole mine. Okay.
I mean, it has to be. He's supposed to be your best player.
Yeah.
He's got to play like it. He's got to break out of this funk that he's been in, this cold streak that he's been in. We saw what Io means to this team during that 4-game win streak when he was playing really well and when he was hitting these big shots. Even a little bit last night when he hit that 3. When Io is Io, you're in a really good spot. So he needs to stop going 3 for 12. He needs to stop going 4 for 15.
1 for 7
he
from 3.
He needs to start taking these better shots. He needs to stop trying to say, okay, I can hit these 3 points now. Because I think it's clear Io's not going to the NBA now. I think he realizes he has a lot to work on. So stop trying to force those threes to impress NBA scouts. Just do your thing, man. We know what you can do. So just do what you're good at, because this team is in much better shape when you just play your game.
I think my X factor tonight's Georgie for a multitude of reasons. One, when Georgie's on the floor, Illinois defensively is so much better. And I was going to do a lot of ball screen coverage, and that's where Georgie can excel. Adonis De La Rosa can't guard a ball screen to save his life. So he has to be out there defensively to really bother Garza. He's the best rim protector Illinois has. He's averaging 2 blocks a game over the last 9 games, which has been pretty good. And then offensively, when he is rolling inside, that opens everything up. And when he is really good, that's where the key is. And he can't turn the ball over. He had 6 turnovers the last time that they played Iowa, partially because he's not good at passing out of the double team. If they're going to double team him tonight and he can swing it cross court for those open threes, or maybe Andres Feliz is able to use those seams to get to the cup for easy buckets, that's the key. Because when Georgie's playing at a high level, when Georgie's on the floor, Illinois can play at a pace that can beat Iowa. I'm not nervous of Iowa anymore. With the way that they played over the last little bit, I know you can see that team isn't very tough mentally sometimes.
I kind of have a strange X factor in that Brad Underwood is my X factor.
I think that's a very fair one.
That's a really good one.
I really want the minutes to go the way that I think that they should go.
And what would those look like?
And those would look like, Tyler Underwood's not going to see the court.
Okay.
Alan Griffin and Tevian Jones probably both get the same amount of minutes, and they see how they're doing. Because
8 to 12?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. If it's less because they go out there and they're just getting, passed by because they are, freshmen sort of getting used to things, that's fine. I'm fine with Kipper seeing extended minutes because of that. I don't want to see De La Rosa get more than 6. I think that everything that he comes in there for is just to rest Georgie at this point.
I was going to say that.
And
we were talking about that earlier.
And like you said, I want the DeMonte minutes. I want the DeMonte minutes at least 10 less than what Feliz's minutes.
Does it feel like Illinois needs one of their underrated guys, whether that's a Tevian Jones, whether that's an Alan Griffin or Kipper Nichols, to break out tonight if they want to win? Because Illinois probably doesn't beat Maryland without Tev breaking out for 18. Right. Illinois probably doesn't beat Nebraska unless Kipper kills them for 18. It feels like one of those other guys, other than the Andres, the Io, the Trent, and the Georgie, somebody else has to have a great day. And could that be Tevian? Yes, but I really think that guy could be Kipper tonight, because he's going to be on the floor, and you need him to be locked in defensively. Whatever he gives you offensively is like a cherry on top.
It's just a bummer that I feel like Kipper Nichols has lost his confidence in his shot.
Yes,
there was a vivid time that he
remember when he dropped 30 on them on Iowa last year.
Yeah, I remember all of it. The confidence that he exuded all the time when he played last year. And then the most recent game yesterday against Northwestern, I saw a time that he got the ball, immediately looked to pass, it was covered, then he looked to shoot, and it looked like he was like, oh no, I have to do this, don't I? And he was like one step inside the three-point arc, shot, brick. And it's just he's got to have that confidence again, because if he can get that, as he did against Nebraska, you see what he can do. He can be that athletic scoring wing Illinois desperately needs.
So on KenPom how they do these similarity scores.
Let's hear it.
You know what last year's version of Kipper Nichols, you know what his similarity score was the same as?
Who?
Admiral Schofield.
Wow.
You know what his similarity scores are this year?
Who?
C.J. Williams, ever heard of him? I haven't. Antonio Heyman, ever heard of him? I haven't.
Where do they play?
Marshall Brown. No, this guy played in 2007. Ken Palm doesn't tell you. I have no idea of this guy. Rodell Wigginton. Never heard of him either.
Sweet name.
That's
it's a pretty dope name.
That's a good name.
It's like you start Rodell and then you finish with a Wigington.
I got one other one. Otto
That's how
Oceanix.
names work.
Otto Oceanix.
I've never heard of this
It's also an awesome
okay,
name.
I feel like he's being compared to really great names.
Names. Well, the last
Kipper
two.
Nichols, solid name.
Kipper Nichols is a
Yeah.
very
This is
solid
solid.
basketball
He really fits the list.
Otto Oceanix.
Just in the worst way. just not for the ways you want him to.
Today I want Admiral Schofield.
That's what I'm saying. If Illinois added an Admiral Schofield to their mix, it's a pretty stinking good team. All right, we're going to take our final timeout. When we get back, we're done with basketball. We've talked about it for 40 minutes. We're what? Okay. Again, we are going to move to football. We have a
Thursday, Jake.
Yeah, we have a huge Bears and Packers debate to get into. Also, Odell Beckham Jr. Big news with that, and plenty of other interesting tidbits from the NFL. Stick with us on Illini Drive WPGU 107.1. Welcome back to Illini Drive, WPGU 107.1. Isaac Trotter, Jake Hasan, Nathan DeHaan. We've had a great show. Tati Perry. Tati, again, you were talking about Jamal Woods a little bit during the break. He is now a rapper now. Illinois' defensive tackle is now a rapper. Is he good? What would you grade Jamal Woods' rapping skills?
I just feel like my opinion shouldn't be heavily... He's not a bad rapper.
Okay.
He's just not a good one, and football should probably be like his
number one priority.
Yeah, or like his education. It should be like a thing he weighs heavily on.
Well, spring ball's starting in about 10 or 11 days, so I'll have to talk to Jamal about it and see what he says.
Tell him exactly what Tati
Please
said.
don't.
Verbatim.
No, I'm just gonna. We'll just put it out on Twitter and see what people think. That might be what we do.
Not good.
There's a TV One package right there.
There
Seriously.
we go. What up, Ken?
NFL kind of taking all the world's headlines for the last couple of days. Some huge news. Odell Beckham Jr. gets traded from the Giants to the Browns. The Browns are legit now, man. They have Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and now Odell Beckham Jr. to go along with Myles Garrett and a couple of other studs on defense. I really like that team now, and they are really the talk of the NFL, but a lot of other really intriguing moves. Today, Teddy Bridgewater signed a $7.5 million deal with the Saints to stay there. He had flirted a little bit with the Miami Dolphins, thinking about going there to be the head or the starting quarterback. Decides to come back and be Drew Brees' backup for $7.5 million guaranteed. Not a bad gig. Not a bad gig at all.
I've heard he likes the locker room. I imagine it's really fun being on a winning team.
Yes.
I mean, that pitch.
No one
go
wants
be
to-
the quarterback of the Dolphins and be probably the worst team in the AFC.
And have to play for another New England assistant coach, and we know how that works out.
Or keep letting Drew Brees teach you how to, add some power to your arm and teaching you how to just lengthen your career so you can stay at an elite level the way that Brees has, and try to be the heir to the throne.
I think that he made the right decision eventually too, because if he is the heir to the throne, he's going to be loved no matter what. And if he goes to the Dolphins, he could get really irrelevant really fast.
Yeah, you could get Tannehill.
Absolutely. Bears. They add.
I have a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a take for Teddy
Okay, go
Bridgewater.
ahead.
Drew Brees is only really under contract for this year.
Mm-hmm.
If they release him, it's whatever. So, I mean,
What do you mean?
So I mean, this is so.
If they
Spotrac,
release him after this year.
after this year, Spotrac is listing this as it's dead money anyway. So I can't imagine they would release him.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say he gets hurt or something. $27 million guaranteed at signing. Roster bonus. 2020 automatically voids at the end of the 2019 league year.
Interesting.
So that's kind of weird.
They have a lot of flexibility with what they want to do
Right,
there.
so
they're
you could go
opening
to
the
the
door up for Drew Brees to say, you know what, boys, I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah. I mean, if he gets a ring, I mean, imagine he would. Also, I just typed in Brew Drees, so that's how my day is going.
Okay, awesome. All right, boys. When the Browns make these moves, are they better than the Steelers? Because a part of me goes, this might be a little bit of addition by subtraction. Because Antonio Brown goes to the Oakland Raiders. Le'Veon Bell signs a big deal, or kind of big deal, with the New York Jets for $52.5 million. I don't think the Steelers are I don't think the Steelers should be just thrown away with this. I still think that they have one of the best defensive lines. They led the league in sacks last year. They have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's prepared to be a wide receiver one. James Conner was fantastic last year. And what wins football games? Veteran quarterbacks usually a GM that knows what he's doing, usually a good owner, maybe a good coach. The if you compare the Browns and the Steelers have the better coach. The Steelers have the better quarterback. The Steelers have the better owner. GM, probably a toss-up because what Dorsey's done with the Browns is pretty fantastic. I'm just saying, like, the Browns have a lot of talent. They're stealing the headlines right now, but don't forget about the Steelers. Am I an idiot?
We talked about this a little bit yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I mean,
It's like, I don't know where the Steelers are going to be now.
Right.
It's like, I don't know because I didn't get Le'Veon Bell last year, and they were still fine because James Conner had a career year.
Who needs a running back?
I didn't get, I had Antonio Brown, but he was, I guess, dissatisfied the entire time.
I mean, he's still going out there and being Antonio Brown, though. He still wanted
He's
to get
unbelievable.
Paid. Right. And he wanted to get paid. He knew he was going to get paid by another team somehow. So he's still going out there and being himself.
And then the Browns do get so much better with the trade for Odell Beckham Jr. And I thought, and I believe that they're trending upwards in the right direction. And Baker can only get better as he progresses. So I don't know how that works. I think the Browns are the better team.
Okay.
I will say that.
I agree with
You
that.
look at
I think they win the division.
You look at the AFC right now. Where do the Browns rank? Our Chiefs are still probably one.
Yep, Pats too.
Pats are in that mix
Just 'cause
too.
I'd have them. I mean, how can you not have the Patriots one right
Okay,
now?
I'm saying like ahead of them.
In
Let's
some
say ahead
order.
of the Browns.
Okay, in no
ahead
particular order,
So
yeah.
the Chiefs are still clearly ahead of the Browns. The Patriots are ahead of the Browns. The Chargers are probably still ahead of the Browns. I really like what the Colts have done. They have 9 draft picks, plenty of cap space. They could add a lot to that. I still think that they're a little bit ahead. The Texans are similar, right? And that's kind of where they're in right now. It feels like there's 3 teams that are better. You could put the Texans, the Colts, and the Browns all in that mix, though, right?
Did the Texans re-sign Jadeveon Clowney? Or did he go?
They franchise tagged him.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Browns are better than the Texans.
Probably.
But I would put the Colts and the Browns in the same type of
Who would you rather
conversation.
have, Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield?
Baker.
Oh, I'm a Deshaun guy. I think Deshaun's really freaking good.
I just think Baker's special. Like, I think people forget how good Deshaun Watson is just because he's in Houston. He doesn't get a ton of press. He's just quietly very good. But I would still rather have Baker. I think you have that top tier where you have the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Patriots. And then I think the Browns are in that second tier that's still very good, but it's still the second tier. I'm with Nathan. I think they won the AFC North, though.
It'll be really fun. I'm very, very excited.
Well, this is their schedule. Did you look at their schedule?
Not yet.
At home, they play the Bills, the Dolphins, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Titans, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Steelers.
Okay, I didn't remember all of those teams, but I think 6-2 there right off the top of my head.
They definitely beat the Bills.
Yes.
They beat the Dolphins. They probably lose to the Rams.
Right.
I think they could steal one away from the Seahawks.
Sure.
I think they beat the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I think they lose to the Ravens. I think they beat Cincinnati, and then I probably think they
That's 6-2 right there.
I think they beat the Steelers at home.
Oh yeah.
So I think they're 7-1 at home.
Wow.
This year.
That's going to be really interesting.
I think
to see
6 or 2, 7-1. That Seahawks game could go either way. But then on the road, they have the Patriots. That's a loss.
Tough.
They beat the Jets.
Yeah.
They beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
They beat the Broncos, I would assume. Just
Agreed.
because the Broncos, I still
That's
think
10
aren't
wins.
that great. So you're already at 10. 49ers, that could go
11.
either way.
Chargers aren't great.
I think people forget how good Jimmy Garoppolo was.
Jimmy Garoppolo's played for like maybe 6 games.
I think he was good, though, and they just signed a running back. What's his face?
Tevin
Tevin
Coleman.
Tevin Coleman.
Great deal for them.
Very good. And they just...
Defense still stinks.
Quan Alexander, D Ford, they just got.
Quan Alexander second in the league in missed tackles since he got into
fine.
football.
At the Ravens, I think they lose that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think they sweep the Bengals.
Yep.
And then they probably lose in Pittsburgh.
So
you're
it's a
looking
12
at
or 13 win
12,
team.
12 and 14. You're looking at.
It's a really good thing. We got to swing this more local because we got a debate to get into. The Bears, what have they done? Well, they added Buster Skrine, a really
Skrine.
good what?
Skrine.
Skrine? Okay, I've heard it both ways. Okay, Skrine. We're going with that. Buster Skrine, one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the game. Add Cordero Patterson to the mix. I love that move. Giving Matt Nagy another toy to mess with. Mike Davis, he's fine. Running back from the Seahawks.
I like him.
But then Ha Clinton Dix. I really like this move a lot. Ha Clinton Dix played for the Redskins. He's also played for the Packers. Nathan.
Yeah. I
get Adrian Amos.
really like Clinton Dix coming to the Bears for a cheaper deal, a discount deal when he had better offers on the table.
Isaac, do you have a question?
Yeah. You just signed Adrian Amos to 4 years, $37 million. And the Bears just got Ha Clinton Dix for $3.5 million. and Clinton-Dix is probably the better safety of the two.
Much better.
What are your emotions like right now?
I was happy that we got Amos.
Yes.
The Dix thing, the Clinton-Dix thing bothers me because he was very verbally saying, I don't want to be in Green Bay. He to the media, he was talking about how we'll see at the trade deadline. He was too Hollywood for Green Bay. They don't like the people that talk in the media, people that make, a lot of noise in that direction. And he was saying, I don't want to be here, pretty much. So for that reason, you needed to trade him. The fact that you get a 4th round pick for him is just not the return that you should get for a Pro Bowl safety. So I was happy we signed Amos. It wasn't like we were going to get Clinton-Dix. I would have liked Earl Thomas instead. I would have liked Tyrann Mathieu. But you can't always get what you want.
Tyrann Mathieu to the Chiefs, by the way, unbelievable deal. Yeah. I understand why he goes there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Me too. So you guys get a lot better.
Okay.
You guys got better than how much better the Packers got. You made the comment off air that the Packers were copying things sort of to cope with the Bears, and you're not wrong. We get an offensive lineman to take care of
Billy Turner.
You get 2 edge rushers.
I like the guys you added.
I do too.
Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith are both very, very good pieces. I think they combined for 16 sacks last year. You'll take that all day, every day.
And they talked about how Zadarius Smith had a down year in sacks with last year, and somebody immediately responded. They said that's not the only thing that an edge rusher does. He pressures quarterbacks. He makes them make bad decisions and maybe throw the ball away or an interception or run into another guy and then he gets the sack because you were the one causing all the pressure. I think this probably means they're moving on from Clay Matthews.
Yes.
Probably. Unless they're like, hey, you were great at inside linebacker and we'll keep you around so you can sort of coach up Blake Martinez, see if they keep Jake Ryan, some of the stuff like that. But yeah, it's such a bummer. It's good. I will enjoy the Bears Packers games. There will be a Rodgers Dix battle going on, and Aaron Nagler's a Green Bay reporter that I respect a lot. Said that in training camp they had some really good battles. So
Interesting.
I'm curious.
So grade the Packers offseason for me. They've added Adrian Amos. They added Mercedes Lewis, Preston Smith, Zadarian Smith, and Billy Turner. This is before the draft has gotten started. But as of right now, that feels like a B off season, right? That's pretty good.
I'd probably do B minus C plus. I'm the fan of the team, so for me, I'm always wanting more. At the same time, I don't like the amount of money that they are throwing around.
Yes.
I don't necessarily love if they are moving on from both Matthews and Perry because there is bringing 2 guys that don't know the system in and asking them to just fill roles of guys that have been there for so long. Billy Turner, I love. We needed an offensive lineman. That was something that I it's not the big free agency moves. It's not the thing that's going to make the headlines in ESPN, but Packers always have injury problems at O-line, and it's definitely not the time to do that with Khalil Mack and with the Vikings defense, and with if Ziggy Ansah comes back to the Lions, the edge rushers in the NFC North are ridiculous.
Well, you kind of look at this division, and the Vikings got better with Anthony Barr staying, and then they added Shamar Stephen, a pretty solid defensive.
You added Zaire Smith today, right?
Yeah, and that's a good get for them. And I think the Bears have gotten better with their additions, with what they've done. You look at what Detroit's done. I kind of like a couple of things they've done. Yeah. Trey Flowers is a really good piece for them. Jesse James is a very productive tight end. Danny Amendola, whatever. Justin Coleman, he's all right. He's fine. Yeah, he's a player. But Detroit's getting better. The Vikings are better. The Packers are obviously better. The Bears are better. This NFC North next year is going to be unbelievable.
I love being a fan of this division.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt. I always think about if you're a Jaguars fan, who's your rival? Who do you dislike?
The Steelers.
Just because of that game.
Just because.
Yeah.
All right. Titans, maybe?
Exactly.
Can you imagine hating the Titans and be like, we hate the Titans.
I hate that. Exactly. I have hatred for the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions, and I get to see that play out 6 times in the NFL season.
This offseason for the NFL has been awesome.
Yeah.
I think that this might be one of my favorite off seasons that I've had in a really long time. Antonio Brown moving has a ton to do with that. Yeah. Odell Beckham Jr. is obviously a huge name. But I kind of came into this thing looking at the NFL draft and the 2019 draft and going, okay, this is the down year. If you need a defensive tackle, if you need an offensive lineman, this is your draft to go get. Well, now Kyler Murray's really freaking good, and he's having a huge pro day, and Arizona's getting involved with him and could probably draft him number 1. Oakland's doing all their research on him with their number 4 pick, too. They could move up to try to get him. Josh Rosen could be traded, too, who I think the Patriots would be an awesome fit for him. Like there's just all of these different things that are going on with the draft, and Kyler Murray controls all of it, and it's so much fun. Like, this is so much fun. The NFL is hands down the number 1 sport in America right now, and it's not close because they are dominating the news cycle, and it's middle of basketball season, right?
That's what the NBA the NBA is the best offseason in the league, and the NFL is rivaling that right now.
Yeah.
With the money being thrown around, with the big names that are making moves and are verbally going out there and saying I want to be traded, and just
player empowerment,
and a lot of the better teams getting better. Not a lot of this has been a big name going to sort of a surprise team other than Le'Veon Bell, which again is just confusing to me.
He just needs his money. Just go, whatever, do what you got to do. I guess
New York now is a running back town.
I really like the Jets is what they did defensively, though.
Okay.
The Jets have a direction, finally.
The Jets have a direction, and I think that adding C.J. Mosley to the mix there is really good. And Henry Anderson is still another really productive defensive lineman. Add Crowder to the mix, who's a pretty decent flex slot option that you can throw out there. Not flex for fantasy football, but slot option that you can have for Sam Darnold. I like the direction the Jets are trending.
Giants don't have a direction.
Well, hey, we signed Golden Tate today for 4 years and $42 million. So, hey.
Man, him and Odell will be. Oh, wait.
Oh, God. Yeah.
The Giants went from what I had said many times is one of maybe the best skill position. They just needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought.
Yep.
Go draft Dwayne Haskins and then build your defense and pay Odell if he wants to be there.
Think about this, though. If the Giants didn't draft Saquon Barkley last year and they had drafted Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or anybody,
You gonna do this?
It would be Baker. No, listen, I'm just saying, Odell Beckham would still be on the Giants right now.
Yeah.
The Odell Beckham would not have been traded. Like if that's a situation. You would have had a young core of Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I saw a tweet yesterday. It was like Odell limping to his car after he just carried the ball 70 times for
Saquon.
Saquon Barkley.
Wow.
Okay. After he carries
You're
the
really
ball
rubbing it in the Giants' face.
70 times for like 270 yards. Like just barely getting anything out of
He'll
it.
be Leonard Fournette.
The only thing for me is that
Yikes.
Saquon Barkley was the offensive rookie of the year because I believe he was the best thing to come out of this draft. And you didn't get Baker because he went number 1 overall.
Right,
So
you
you're
couldn't change
asking
that.
for a Darnold, a Rosen, an Allen, whoever you're taking instead. I don't know. I thought I support the decision to draft Barkley. I understand that it lost you Odell.
So what would you rather have right now? Eli Manning and Saquon Barkley?
No.
Or Sam
Right.
Darnold
You're
and
right.
Odell Beckham Jr.?
You're right. Saquon Barkley and Odell, or what did you say? I'd rather have Sam Darnold than Odell Beckham
Yeah.
Jr.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's
tough.
really tough. I mean, if you're the Giants now, you're hitching your horse to Eli Manning. That's not great.
Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's really,
Hey, go ahead and
that's
draft
tough.
Daniel Jones from Duke. He looks
How-
like a great prospect.
How long until Saquon asks for a trade out?
Oh, I mean, all he needs to do is just sit down with LeBron for a little bit more, and LeBron's just infiltrating every major athlete with the fact that player empowerment is big, and he'll tell Saquon he needs to get out of here.
How long after LeBron retires does he start his own agency?
We could get him to be an agent in our agency.
I didn't know that this was an agency that was happening. Well done, boys. Well done.
Me, Jake, Tommy, we're the next Ari Gold.
We're starting
Okay.
agency, yeah, and I would assume is going to be our first client. We
awesome.
decided.
Awesome. Are you guys tight with the DeSumo family?
Alex has an N, so
Okay.
And I have an in with the Allegretti, with Nicky Allegretti.
Nick Allegretti is
Let's go.
Nick Allegretti is a great man. By the way, before we get out of here, if you didn't know, Nick Allegretti went through his Illinois Pro Day this week, put up awesome numbers, unbelievable numbers.
it.
I think that he has a very, really good chance to get maybe 6th or 7th round drafted. If he's an undrafted free agent, that might be even better for him, though, because he can pick his team where he wants to go. It'll be good. Delshon Phillips also had a really good day, ran a 40-yard dash in about 4.53 seconds. So that'll put him on plenty of draft radars. All right, before we get out of here, real quick, here's our picks tonight. Picks for Illinois, Iowa. What you got, Nathan?
I got to do Iowa by 2.
Okay, what's the score?
I'll do 78-76.
Okay, Jake? Oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. I know this look from Jake.
see, now you called me out. Now I got scared. Illinois wins by 1, 75-74.
Wow. Iowa 77, Illinois 72. Thanks so much for joining us on the Illini Drive. We're going to take a week off for spring break.
That was rude.
And we will be
That was
back
rude.
in a week and a half talking all of Illinois basketball, give you a look at Illinois football with spring practice getting started and the rest of the world of sports. For Eli Schuster, for Jake Hasan, for Nathan DeHaan, and for Tati Perry, Isaac Trotter. Thanks for joining us on WPGU 107.1.